Clicking on this video, you probably want to know, is the new 5-seat Jeep Grand Cherokee worth it? I remember when the Jeep Grand Cherokee L launched, not to be confused with this, L standing for long wheelbase. I remember sitting there watching the reviews and thinking, I think you guys have missed the point on this one. Gone are the cheap Jeep days. I'm a masterful rhymer, apparently. In fact, if you have previously owned a Jeep Grand Cherokee, one of the previous generations, you're unlikely to be in Jeep's new target demographic. Jeep are going the way of Mazda. They are premiuming up their brand. And so even though this thing shares the same engine with the previous Jeep Grand Cherokee, other than that, it is wildly different. Before we get into the review though, I would love it if you could hit that subscribe button. Really helps the channel out and we'd love to have you around. And as always, a huge shout out to our channel sponsor, Driver. Driver is a fintech finance comparison site. They will get you the absolute best financing deals. You can click the link in the description or in the pinned comment. And for every settled loan through that link, you'll get a $150 fuel card. Obviously, this Jeep Grand Cherokee looks wildly different to what came before it. The lights have a cool daytime running light. That's also your turning signal. You've got really bright LEDs there as well. Got a little fog light down there. You have the Jeep badge there. You've also got a front-facing camera that also has a little squirty boy under there. You can clean it if you need to. That's really useful if you take this thing off-roading, which this thing is certainly very capable of. You're also going to notice a radar there and up there. If I zoom in, you'll see a little camera. This thing has some pretty good active safety tech. Definitely not the best I've experienced, but if you want to learn more about that, you can head to our website, CarSauce.com. There'll be a full written article about this car there as well. Now, this is the Overland trim. Check out these wheels here. They're 20-inch wheels wrapped in Continental cross-contact tires. Probably wouldn't be doing much off-roading in these, even though this thing is really capable straight from the factory. In fact, this thing has air suspension. It comes on the Overland trim and above the Summit Reserve, and this thing has 5 different air suspension settings. That means you can put it up and down. For example, off-road, you can go to off-road 1 or off-road 2, and that will get you really high up. And that gives you something like 260 or 270 millimeters of ground clearance. But it's also got a comfort mode, a aero mode, and also an entry and exit. So when you turn off this car, it actually drops all the way down. Really cool, actually. It's a lot of tech in a car that is 110 grand. Anyway, coming to the rest of the side, you'll see the Grand Cherokee badge there. Of course, it has keyless entry and go. You've got another camera there because this has a 360 camera. You've also got some really tinted rear windows and also a screen on the inside to block out the shade. You've got the classic roof rails up top. It wouldn't be an SUV without that, would it? But I think the back is my favorite. Let's check that out. As I said before, I really like the looks of this thing. Let's check it out together. The tail lights here, you can see they have a cool LED effect. They're just, I don't know, slim, good looking, nothing too much going on. Overland badge there. You've also got the Jeep badge and 4x4 because this very much isn't like a Hyundai Palisade or a Toyota Kluger where their all-wheel drive system is front-wheel drive bias and then we'll just send 50% of power to the rear if it needs to. This has a proper 4-wheel drive system. It's called Quadra-Track 2, at least it is in the Overland and Summit Reserve. You get the Quadra-Track 1, which is an inferior 4-wheel drive system. It's still permanent 4-wheel drive, but it doesn't have a low-range transfer case. This one does, so it differs actually significantly in that sense. It is really strange though that you can only get the Quadra-Track system on the upper models, which are more feature-packed, so they're heavier and therefore less good for off-roading. I think the place to show that this is an entirely different Jeep Grand Cherokee is on the interior. I mean, look around. It is beautiful. You have leather on the dash, soft touch materials everywhere. You got these, I think, faux wood inserts. They look pretty real though. Build quality seems to have improved since the Grand Cherokee L was released about a year ago. I have noticed that the speaker grills don't seem to be down all the way, or at least not sticking. But other than that, it feels pretty solid. I mean, listen to this. That is a thunk. That is a real thunk. Questionable use though of piano black plastic. You know, it's scratched. This car has done 2,000 kilometers. I know other people I've spoken to in the industry have experienced the exact same thing. Oh, it's so dusty and dirty and just looks gross. But in all honesty, it feels like a $100,000 car. It's not just the materials that they use, but also the technology. For example, this shifter here, it's not just plastic, it's like knurled metal. It feels amazing in the hands. Buttons feel so well damped. This has to be one of the best infotainment displays I've used. It uses Android Automotive. It's called Uconnect, and it's super responsive, color accurate, it just works. Although you can control air conditioning through this screen, you'd have to be a bit silly to do that. You've got physical buttons here for everything, including your heated seats, your cooled seats, your heated steering wheel. Check this mirror out. You flip it, now you've got a view of the background. It uses a high definition camera and it's super high definition. Really impressive. These seats aren't just normal seats. They're Napa leather. That is one of the most luxurious leathers you can get for a car seat. And they are adjustable in a billion different ways with, did I mention, massage seats? And it's a good massage seat. Look, you press a button here, something comes up there. I've currently got it on waterfall. Oh, it feels good. It feels really nice. Back to some strange quality things though. Like it's really hard to open this. Really hard, it sucks. But you do get a wireless charger in there, 2 USB-A ports, 2 USB-C ports, an auxiliary in and a 12-volt socket. So you're not gonna be wanting for I/O, that's for sure. Click this, ooh, well dampened. Got a couple of cup holders, but again, it can be kind of hard to like open. Seems to be working fine now, but earlier I found it difficult. You've got your mode selector here, sport, auto, snow, sand, mud, and rock. And that will impact not only your driving controls, the steering, feel, throttle response, but it also changes the calibration of the quadra-track four-wheel drive system. And you can enter into four-wheel drive low because this does have a proper low-range transfer case. And that's proper off-road gear. Quite impressive. As I said, you've also got the air suspension, so you can raise it up really easily. I'm not going to do that now, the camera might struggle, but it's impressive, especially considering that the shorter wheelbase of this 5-seater has got better approach angles, ramp breakover, and departure angles than the Grand Cherokee L. And so when you combine that with being able to lift the car and get, I think, 610 millimeters of weighting depth on your air suspension, pretty cool. Again, proper off-roader. Up in front of you, you do have a digital instrument cluster. It's not the best though. It is quite responsive, but it just, I don't know, the graphics seem a bit average. See a bunch of stuff on it. I'm just not the biggest fan. I can't really put my finger on it. It's just definitely not as nice as a BMW. Storage galore, as you would expect though. You have heaps of storage on your felt-lined glove box. You've got a leather center armrest with a first level that's felt-lined and also a second level, also felt-lined. And you also get the Alpine stereo that sounds amazing, really good. This isn't a slight, this isn't me attacking other journalists, but I genuinely don't understand how they don't think that this is up to a $110,000 car. It feels luxury. Genuinely luxury. Now, I'm 5'11", so I'm definitely not the tallest person in the world, but I'm a pretty average height. This is my driving position. I sit pretty far back. I've got heaps of legroom, heaps of toe room, heaps of headroom too. You do have quad zone of climate control as well, so each side at the front and the back can have their own temperature settings. That's pretty impressive. You got heated seats, cooled seats too. You've also got 2 USB-C ports, 2 USB-A ports, and my favorite part is the household socket there, and it's an international adapter, so you can use whatever you need. Very cool. And quality back here is just as good as up front, feels really solid. You've also got this, boop, like that. Of course, the seats are Napa leather, and I like this too. You've got a center armrest here with a couple of cup holders. It's nice and soft. Napa leather. Guys, it's a really nice place to be. Okay, so what about boot space on the Jeep Grand Cherokee 5 seat? Let's see, because it does have a shorter wheelbase, as I said. Press the wrong button, locked it. This one. Yeah, that's it. Power tailgate, but look at this. Oof, it's got a huge amount of space in there. Really big. Under here, you would have a full-size spare wheel for a different car. That's 18-inch full-size spare wheel, but the 20 inches on this, I don't know, it seems a bit weird. Right? Or is it just me? I like these little Easter eggs though. Check this out. You got a little Willys Jeep over there. Oh, can you see it? Yeah, you can. And then over there, you've got like all the different iterations of the Jeep Grand Cherokee. Very cool. I don't know, hidden Easter eggs. I like it. You've also got a 12-volt socket there. You've also got a couple of carry hooks. I don't love this though. Let's put down the second row. So you've got to come around here, obviously open the door, pull this, and that falls forward. Then of course you have the same deal for the other side. But then check out how much room you get in there. It's really impressive. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room here, and that is the engine choices, or the lack of. The launch of the Jeep Grand Cherokee and Jeep Grand Cherokee L have provided the Grand Cherokee with a single engine, and that is for the entire world. That is this 3.6 litre V6 Pentastar engine. Yes, if you recognize that name, it's been around for a long time. In fact, it was in the previous Grand Cherokee as the base model engine. Now you're paying a lot more, but you're still getting the same engine. So what gives? Well, I don't know this for sure, but my assumption is that it all comes down to cost savings, right? Trying to push a V8 engine into a new car, good luck with that. But more importantly, the diesel option is gone, and that's because globally diesel sales are declining. In the US, it's local market, diesel sales have almost turned to zero. And in Europe, where diesel sales are definitely still high, they're not getting cars like this. This is huge. Imagine driving this around Paris. And that leaves the relatively small Australian market. So we get the one engine. We can kick and scream all we like, but I don't think we're getting a V8. There will be a plug-in hybrid coming soon, and that will be an interesting engine, but the reality is we're going more towards electrification than we are to different types of engines. In the US though, this might be coming with a twin turboed 6-cylinder, and yeah, that would definitely be preferable over this, especially because this thing only puts out 210 kilowatt of power and 344 newton meters of torque. It also can't tow like it could previously. This thing can only tow about 2.3 tons, whereas the last generation Grand Cherokee could tow 3.5 tons. All of that power is sent through to all four wheels via the 8-speed torque converter automatic, and it's not as bad as it sounds, guys. Let's launch this thing. Okay, now we're gonna launch the Jeep Grand Cherokee, the 5-seater. In the Jeep Grand Cherokee L, the long wheelbase, Jacob got about 8.3 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour on the same stretch of road. But because this is shorter and it's lighter, I'm expecting it to perform better. And also it feels kind of sprightly, so anyway, a boy can dream. Let's put the car into sport mode. That means that the air suspension will actually lower itself and we'll go into aero mode to make the car more aerodynamic, go figure. And then all we have to do is brake boost launch it, and the car should hopefully send power to the wheels that it needs to, because this is a permanent four-wheel drive. Let's do it, all right? Let's brake boost launch it. Ooh. Felt pretty good. Oh, it's actually exactly the same. 0 to 100 in 8.27 seconds. Oh, I'm a little bit disappointed by that. I thought it'd be a bit faster. It feels faster. Okay, let's drive this thing normally. Okay, I'm gonna give you a different perspective from all the other journos in the industry. As someone who was in primary school when the previous generation was released in 2011, I don't mind this engine. Guys, it's really not that bad. Maybe let's talk about the bad points. Fuel economy, terrible, really bad. What am I getting right now? 15.4 liters per 100 kilometers. Oh, yeah, that's not great, is it, guys? That is really not great, considering it's naturally aspirated and really, on paper, doesn't have much power and torque. Actually, let's put the car into sport mode here. The suspension starts to lower into aero mode. Steering becomes extremely heavy. My gosh, doesn't feel real, frankly, but that's okay. This thing handles surprisingly well. I love that engine though. People say it sounds bad. You sound bad. I think it sounds great. I don't know. I think some people are just, living in the past. Guys, we can't have V8s anymore. I don't understand what people don't understand about that. It's so hard to have a V8 now. Jeep are not going to invest the money into making a V8 like they have in the past to put in one of these. Maybe there'll be some sort of crazy Trackhawk edition like they've had in the past. We're not going to get it now. What are you, nuts? Jeez, it's 2023. The world is going the other way. There will be a plug-in hybrid version of this car though, so if that's your thing, that'll be pretty fun, I reckon, as long as it's charged. Otherwise, it's less fun. But okay, here is a perfect example. We're at Saucy Corner right now. Let's put our foot on the brake boost, launch it, launch. Ooh, the Quadra-Track 2 system, that's its all-wheel drive system, really grips well. I'm surprised by that. I had pretty low expectations for how this thing would drive. Let's go around the first corner. It is unbelievable for a fat SUV like this. Genuinely. Of course, being the shorter wheelbase now, it's more agile. Oh, I love it. But if we put the car back into auto and the air suspension lifts us up, the adaptive dampers go back into their comfier setting, this thing is really comfy. The 8-speed torque converter is great. It is quiet in here. Again, I don't understand what other journalists have been talking about. There's a lot of road noise, blah, blah, blah. Like, fine. In fact, it's good. I don't like the active safety tech because it sucks. You know, we turn on our adaptive cruise control, we set it, it's not gonna keep us in lane, it'll warn us, we just go straight off the road, like, does nothing. I don't know, like, you know, I can leave the lane and it'll warn me right there, but it like hardly does anything. It's just dumb. But other than that, this thing, it feels, dare I say, luxury. It doesn't feel like Jeep of the old. I don't know, guys, from where I sit, this thing feels super premium, super nice on the inside, great place to be. Is it expensive? Hell yeah, it is. But that's kind of where it's playing. So, I mean, what do you expect? I like it. I think it drives well. Dynamically, it's good. It's comfy. Steering is a little bit heavy, but hey, that's electronic. What can I say about that? Would it be nicer with a V8? Sure, I'd love a V8. Is that going to happen? Probably not. Like, oh God, has everyone just been living under a rock? I'll eat my words though. If they bring out a Trackhawk, I think, oh, I'd love that car. Anyway, let's get into our final thoughts. Okay, so final thoughts. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. When I saw that this thing had jumped up in price to like 100 grand when it first launched with the Grand Cherokee L, I just thought, are you serious? Like a Jeep Grand Cherokee costing 100 grand with the V6 Pentastar? Like, what are you, nuts? But I actually get it now, and hopefully you do too. At least get the strategy. You don't have to love the car or anything like that. Jeep are moving to a more premium brand. They're trying to do that for whatever reason because there's probably better margins in it. But this does not feel anything like the previous Grand Cherokee. I think it looks fantastic. The interior is really, really nice. Still some quality things I think they need to nudge out, but that'll probably come in the second year iteration. It always happens. This thing certainly has all of the equipment to make it a very capable off-roader while being really comfortable, a great thing to drive. It is really thirsty on petrol though, really, really thirsty. So yeah, keep that in mind. It doesn't have a huge tank though. It's like 104 litre fuel tank. I think it's just massive, but it will cost you about 200 bucks to fill up each time. So yeah, keep that in mind. I don't know guys, I really like this thing, but let me know what you guys think down in the comment section, just below that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. We would love to have you around. You can look over there if you want to watch our Hyundai Palisade review, a pretty big competitor to this, or our BMW X5 versus Toyota Land Cruiser, the question no one's ever asked. And over there we have our financing link, okay? Ciao for now.